We were very excited today to have with us a interesting program. We get emails that individuals reach out to us looking to speak. And when I received the one from Bryce, it was like, wow, we need to make this happen. And Chris was on top of it. Bryce is blind. He's going to give us the background on that, and he's going to open us up to his world, what he sees as a blind individual and some of the obstacles he's had to overcome. And he's got some great stories for us, he's said, and we look forward to Bryce's program. So Bryce, are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. Just a quick question. Do you guys have a hard ending at 1 o'clock, or do you go past 1 o'clock sometimes, or how does that work?
No, we generally, yeah. I mean, we usually give half an hour for the program. So no, if we run a little bit late, like we do now.
1 o'clock, so I didn't want to cause people trouble missing their work and things like that.
Feel free. If anyone's not able, if anyone has to remove themselves, they usually will at whatever time.
All right, I'll just do what I had planned then. Good afternoon, Arlington Heights Rotary Club members. My name is Bryce Weiler. I was born 4 months premature with an eye condition called retinopathy of prematurity, which caused me to be blind. And growing up, listening to sports on the radio was always very important to me. Listening to Brian Barnhart commentating football and basketball for the Fighting Illini, and Don Fisher commentating for the Indiana Hoosiers, along with Mike Shannon of the St. Louis Cardinals and Pat Hughes of the Chicago Cubs. Growing up, listening to these broadcasters, it brought vivid pictures into my head of the action happening on the court and the field. But I never thought that I would have the opportunity to be able to take part in sports since I cannot see. I was fortunate enough, though, however, to become friends with the former University of Evansville Aces head men's basketball coach, Marty Simmons, who gave me the opportunity to sit on his Evansville men's basketball bench. Sitting on the basketball bench at Evansville really changed my life because it gave me the opportunity to experience college basketball, experience sports, learn how to shoot free throws, and to do things that I'd only truly dreamed about being able to do, and things that I didn't think that I would have the opportunity to do since I cannot see. Furthermore, while I was a student at Evansville, I commentated over 90 games on the radio in a plethora of sports, including college basketball, college soccer, college softball, and many other sports as well. I did this by analyzing what was happening during the game, working as the radio analyst, as my friend Dion Thomas does with Brian Barnhart on Fighting Illini basketball, and really studying the style of the play-by-play broadcaster that I was working with, because he or she is the true star of the radio broadcast. I would also read facts on the players and coaches. I would go out and shoot free throws on the court before the game to figure out if the rim was either loose or tight and how the ball was going to kick off the rim, or if it was going to get a good bounce over the front of the rim if the rim was loose. And so that's how I commentate basketball. When I was doing baseball and softball, I would make sure there was a good microphone behind home plate so I could hear the sound of the ball hitting the catcher's glove or hitting off the bat, so that I could better analyze what was happening on the field. Also, whenever I was at Evansville, I had many students who helped me to be successful with getting my food in the cafeteria or shooting free throws with me in the Evansville practice gym. And it was something that I really took for granted, always having individuals there to help me. When I later went to graduate school at a different university, Western Illinois, I really realized how fortunate I was to have everything that I had at Evansville, with having the opportunity to do fundraising for Coaches versus Cancer and for various other auctions, having that opportunity to commentate games on the radio as a blind sports radio broadcaster. Because when I went to graduate school at Western Illinois from 2014 to 2016, I was promised a wide range of opportunities to gain work experience doing things with fundraising, being able to commentate more games on the radio, and really broaden the set of experiences that I had in my life. But when I got to graduate school at Western Illinois, the staff did not think that I could do all these things, even though I'd done them all at Evansville for the most part. And so they never really gave me the opportunity to broaden my set of work experiences as I had been promised when I signed on to attend graduate school at Western Illinois. Secondly, it was a lot harder to find students who would want to eat with me and to help me. There'd be days when I'd be standing by my dorm or standing in my dorm, Thompson Hall, by our cafeteria, and asking random various students if they'd be willing to eat with me or to assist me. And they would walk by me or tell me that they'd be scared to guide me because I can't see. And it really showed me to value the opportunities and the things that I'd been given in my life. And I definitely took for granted some of those things when I was at Evansville, such as always having someone there to eat with me, to help me, or to shoot free throws with me. So after graduating from graduate school at Western Illinois in 2016, I once again started to apply for more jobs in sports and public speaking and things of that nature. And I would never tell companies that I was blind because one does not have to disclose that he or she has a disability to be considered for a job or for employment. But during my time in college, I had some articles written about me, such as how I commentated games as a blind sports broadcaster, about me sitting on the Evansville basketball bench, and about me speaking to groups. So if you like having me speak, be thankful that college basketball teams let me speak to them, such as the first one ever with Steve Prohm and his Murray State team back in 2012. If you'd rather not listen to me speak, then the next time you watch Iowa State play, you can really hope that they lose, because Steve Prohm, who's now at Iowa State, gave me that opportunity to speak to his Murray State team back in 2012. And through that, I was really able to understand how my speech and my words can really impact the lives of people and to help them to overcome the obstacles and challenges that they are facing in their life. But transitioning back to the job search struggles that I was facing in 2016, I wasn't telling people that I was blind because one does not have to do that, as I mentioned to you about a minute ago. But people would type my name into Google, as a good employer would when they're researching a job candidate. And they would always find out that I was blind. They'd say, "Oh, Bryce, it's quite interesting that you've commentated games as a blind sports radio broadcaster. And it's such a great thing that Marty Simmons, who was the head coach at Evansville at that time, he was unfortunately fired in 2018. So now the former Evansville coach, Marty Simmons, gave you that opportunity to sit on his basketball bench. We'll be back in touch with you soon to contact you about that job." And I'd never hear anything from them again. So I realized that having these articles, I couldn't really get rid of them. Well, I could have, because there's companies that can actually remove articles down through your Google search results so it doesn't come up. But I realized that that was a part of my identity and my life. So I realized that filling out job applications really was not going to work well for me. So I decided to start emailing sports teams and companies, and I wanted to work as a consultant to help companies and sports teams to hire people of all disabilities for employment, or to create roles that can help companies to broaden their market segmentation and what they do to help people who have disabilities. So I started emailing sports teams, and I became friends with the Baltimore baseball team's president, and I've been their disability consultant since 2016. I've ensured that the Orioles home stadium of Camden Yards is accessible for fans of all disabilities. I've helped Baltimore with the Orioles to become the first team in sports to wear Braille on their jerseys to honor people who are blind. I've also worked as a consultant ensuring websites are accessible. I've done that with the Marcus Corporation out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Other programs that I've done with Baltimore have been giving individuals of all disabilities the opportunity to play on the field with the Orioles players and coaches before 2 Orioles home games. And I'm currently in talks with some college athletic departments to work with them as their disability consultant to work to make things more accessible and to work to give people who have disabilities the opportunity for employment, but also the opportunity to experience playing on the court or the field with their various sports teams. So I wanted to share with you some about my life, but also to encourage you to, if you're interested, to have me work with your staff and in whatever company. It could be a doctor, a lawyer, own a restaurant, to make buildings more accessible, to create programs to hire people who have disabilities, to ensure that your apps, if you use apps, or your websites are accessible for people who have disabilities, because it's such a great thing for any company. So often people just consider me as a sports person because I've spent my life commentating sports, emailing sports teams, and doing things of that nature. But I want to give back to help people of all disabilities to be able to live their dreams and in whatever their dreams might be in. And for so many people who have disabilities, having a job and feeling as if they are a part of society as a whole is such an important thing. And I'll give you some examples of some things that companies and various places don't really think about. So companies always post jobs, but they never think that they're going to have a candidate who might be blind, deaf, having autism, in a wheelchair, who has various learning disabilities, coming in as a possible job candidate. So companies often do not have items in Braille for people who are blind. Remember the fact how I didn't tell companies that I was blind. So I only had that experience once of going to a conference where I didn't tell them that I was blind because I wanted to see how well they could accommodate me. They had no idea what to do when I got there. I had to tell them how they could get items put in Braille for me. I had to teach them how somebody could guide me from place to place. And also, so that's some of the challenges of employing people who are blind, but also employing people who are deaf. Companies often do not have someone on their HR team who knows how to do sign language, or they do not have the special video phone service that can help people who are deaf be able to communicate back and forth with someone who can fully hear. So these are just some of the things that I try to work with companies, and I know with the vast array of experience that your members have. I actually really enjoyed sitting through your meetings. Sometimes I have to sit through these meetings and I get really bored, but I actually really enjoyed this one. Everyone seems really interesting. You guys all have a caring, passionate spirit, and you've done such a great job promoting your special run that you're having this Saturday and then also next Saturday. And that's something that I search for when I'm trying to work as a consultant for sports teams and companies, because I have had to work in the past with a company who didn't really want to let me be their consultant. It was a sports team actually, somebody from the Midwest. I don't really want to tell you which one, but so they found out that I'd been helping Baltimore's team, and they wanted to act like they wanted to do things to help people who have disabilities. So they hired me on to help them, and I went through all the steps that I do. They just wanted me to analyze how accessible their building was, their home stadium for people of all disabilities. So I did that, and then I went back to a game there a couple years later, and they hadn't made any of the changes that I had told to them. And I consider the work that I do helping companies not as a one-time item, but as a long-term partnership between myself and the companies, because I'm not solely at all in it for the money. I'm really in it to help people. When I sign up to work as a consultant for a company, I set a one-time yearly fee, and I'll do anything that a company wants me to do during that year, because there are more important things in life than how much money one can make. And if I can find a company, a school, a sports team, whoever, a college, who wants to give me the opportunity to create programs to help people who have disabilities to have employment, to broaden their market segmentation by creating programs where the employees of a business, company, college go out and do things to help people who have disabilities, going with them to plays, taking them to movies, going with them to various other events. Those are the types of programs and the types of things that I want to do, because sitting on the Evansville basketball bench and being able to commentate those over 90 games during my 4 years at Evansville from 2010 to 2014, those years really changed my life. And I want to be able to help others to be able to live their dreams, and also to show people who do not have disabilities how fortunate they are every day to be able to see, or to walk, or to hear, or to do all the things that people often take for granted, that someone who has a disability would enjoy being able to see their family, or to hear what might be on the television, or to not have to worry about if the staff at a college or at a company knows how to properly enable closed captioning to their videos. These are all things that I've spent years studying how to do, because I believe that it's important for everybody in this country and across the world, but especially this country, to be able to live their dreams and to have equal access, because that's why immigrants come to America, to have equal access to the things that we as Americans are given to every day. The opportunity to live in a free country, to express our thoughts and opinions, and to be able to live and to work in a line of work that can give us satisfaction, but also give us that opportunity to realize that we are part of the world as a whole and that we are working to make society and the world a better place. So those are some things that I do in my life. I also give many speeches to sports teams and companies about my life and overcoming obstacles and challenges. Some of you, seeing as how Arlington Heights is near Chicago, may have seen the Chicago Sun-Times article written by Neil Steinberg last year about me speaking to the Arkansas State and DePaul basketball teams about my life and overcoming obstacles and challenges. I also give speeches to sports teams and companies about any topic, including the importance of working as a team, working together as a cohesive unit, how to know when to ask for help, and the value of asking for help, because that's something people really struggle with who don't have a disability, or people who developed their disability later in life, because so often people who don't have disabilities or those who developed their disability later in life, they struggle to ask for help because they have had a life of being able to do everything on their own. I was at a blind training program in Chicago from November 2016 through May of 2017, where I learned how to cook, learned how to use Excel and PowerPoint better and other technology, and also learned how to cross streets in Chicago that had 8 to 10 lanes of traffic. Those were all very useful skills. But at this blind training program, they didn't have enough instructors to teach the individuals there how to read Braille. So I've known how to read Braille since I was 5 years old, and I offered to instruct the members how to read Braille. And all of them had became blind partway through their life. Through a couple of them, unfortunately, were shot in the eye through some gun violence. Some others had sickness or some illness or some other accidents that had happened to them. And the hardest part for me wasn't teaching them the 126 contractions that will represent entire words or parts of words in Braille. It makes Braille a lot faster when you have contractions, or teaching them the 26 letters of the Braille alphabet. The hardest part was really convincing them that it's okay to be blind, and the fact that you can now read Braille will open up the entire world to you again, from learning how to read books to being able to read buttons on the elevator to things such as that. So those are some of the things that I speak about. So I would enjoy being able to speak to your staff, whether it's at a school or a company. I can easily take the train to Chicago anytime someone wants, and I'd be very safe. I would wear my mask during a speech if that's someone wanted, or if they didn't, if they put me more than 6 feet away, I would not wear a mask, I suppose, because I understand that for people who can see, the most important thing is probably watching me speak. For me, it doesn't really do any good having this Zoom video on, but I know most of you are probably enjoying watching me speak and sitting here and things like that. So I am trying to stay as still as I can so that I'm hopefully looking into the screen of my laptop so you get a good picture. But that's something that's always concerning with Zoom or something like this, because I don't ever know if my screen has been moved or has been pushed back. So that's a bit about my life. I've always tried to overcome the obstacles and challenges that I face. I encourage all of you to overcome the obstacles and challenges that you're facing in your life, and to never think that you can't do anything that you want to do in your life. If you wanted to start that new job or that new career, or you were thinking about helping someone you saw who was blind or in a wheelchair or things like that, and you didn't do it, you should try to do all the things that you want to do in your life. People told me that I couldn't find a job as a sports consultant, and that companies wouldn't hire me as a disability consultant. And the company's role has been a lot harder for me, because so often companies, they don't have to hire people who have disabilities unless they work for the federal government, because if they work for the federal government, a certain percentage of their workforce has to have disabilities. So I'd love to speak with you more about all of this, if you have questions about it, or I could also email anyone my resume and some other documents if they'd like that. So here's my contact information if you'd like to contact me. My phone number is 812-899-5673, 812-899-5673. My email is bweiler25@gmail.com. That is BWEILER25@gmail.com. BWEILER25@gmail.com. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity and for having your meetings being held over Zoom. Not that I couldn't have came to see you all in person at some point. I just don't know how I would have gotten from the train station in Chicago out to Arlington Heights, but I know that could have been worked out. I'd be happy to take any questions, comments, thoughts, or anything about my speech or anything else you might like to ask me about. So thank you for your time, and I really hope that your Santa run goes well this Saturday and the next Saturday as well with the second version of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bryce. Wonderful. Great job. Really interesting background. I know I have a couple questions, but I'm going to open it up to the membership. Any questions for Bryce? No? Oh, Betsy.
So Bryce, where do you live?
I live in Claremont, Illinois.
Claremont.
It's about 30 minutes from Vincennes, so I'm bad with maps, but if anyone wants to look up where I live, my zip code is 62421. You can type it in to a map or Google Maps and you'll see which part of the state I'm in. So if I came to Chicago for something, I would take about an hour car ride over to Effingham, Illinois. I would get on the train from Effingham and then I'd take a 3.5-4 hour train ride up to Chicago.
Ooh.
All right. The reason I ask is Rotary is an amazing organization. And if you're not aware of it, it's quite possible that there's a Rotary Club near you that might love to have you as a member. I think you'd be a great Rotarian. So are you aware of any Rotary clubs near you?
Yes, there is a Rotary Club in my town, and I have worked with them before on some programs. I spoke to the Rotary Club over in Vincennes, Indiana, back in September, and I've been giving some speeches to various Rotary clubs over Zoom throughout the country. So I have, been enjoying doing that, and I do help out the club here in my town.
Okay, but I
Illinois.
I just think you'd be a great Rotarian. You may want to consider joining your local club. And I definitely enjoyed your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Mark.
Yeah, hi, Bryce. I enjoyed your presentation a lot as well. Thank you. I'm curious from a technology standpoint, if somebody sends you an email, does it get translated or transferred into a WAV file so you can listen to it, or do you have some other vehicle that you use?
That would actually be really smart, but my computer has a screen reading program called JAWS, which will tell me every time something happens on the screen. So some of you may have heard it talking when somebody might have left the meeting, joined the meeting, or started screen sharing. So I would try to pause that as quickly as I could. So JAWS reads all my emails to me and anything else that I'm listening to on the screen from articles. And then on my phone, on my iPhone, actually everyone's iPhone has this feature is called VoiceOver. So any of you could turn on VoiceOver on your iPhone and it would read the screen to you, read your emails and your text messages and everything else.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Chris, you have a question?
Hi, Bryce. I knew when I spoke to you on the phone that you were an extraordinary young man, and your program was very enlightening, and thank you for speaking to our group, and I just couldn't be more pleased. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me come. I was really happy that you guys had this on Zoom. I wish that the Rotary as a whole had a better way to tell what clubs across the country had their programs over Zoom. They don't have a directory of that, so I've been having to read through every Rotary district in the country and see who has their meetings over Zoom. It's been quite time consuming, so I enjoy it when people email me back. So thank you, Dr. Joe. You made one Saturday back in September reading through Rotary districts across the country feel worthwhile.
No, thank you very much. Betsy, follow-up question.
Actually, more of a comment. Bryce, our Rotary is formed in districts. So our Rotary district happens to have something like 67 clubs.
Yeah.
We have a speakers bureau that's just an online speakers bureau. And anybody in our district who's looking for a speaker can look at the speakers bureau. So if you'd like, we could, although I don't think I know how to do this, but my good friend Linda knows how to register you on our speakers bureau so that all 65 clubs in our district, and I can only speak for our district, all 65 clubs in our district would have access to your information. So if you'd like that, we could do that.
Yeah, that would be great. You guys have all my information, and you know, you've heard my speech. So if you know, Linda needs more information, I've been emailing with her before. I can, you know, give out whatever I need or type whatever up you guys need. So
Good point, Betsy. Good. Any other questions? All right, well, Bryce, I have one. I guess I have two. With technology changing by the day, and I know they're doing implants and things now, how's the future look for being able to help someone like yourself see at some point?
I could maybe have some vision in my right eye at some point through a special microchip that could be implanted, but that hasn't been completed as of yet.
Is there a time frame on when that might be?
One never knows. Doctors can get things done real fast, or some things it takes a long time.
Sure. All right, my second question ties into your love of sports like myself. You know, us able-sighted individuals, I mean, I can just in my head right now go through thousands of images we've seen over and over that are momentous sports things that we've all experienced. You have not gotten to experience that. Is there one moment that that just touches you on a visceral level that you can visualize it even though you've never really seen it, or that you would give anything to be able to say I can see that as it happened?
Well, probably two. So my friend Rick Pitino used to be the head Louisville Cardinals men's basketball coach, and my friend Brad Stevens also used to coach Butler. Coach Stevens is now with the Celtics, and Rick Pitino just got a new coaching job with the Iona Gales. I'm sorry I have to tell a story to, I guess, get to this, but now you'll have to suffer through a minute and a half of a story. So Brad Stevens took Butler to the Final Four in 2010, 2011, and Coach Stevens cut me down pieces of the net from the Final Four. So Louisville and Coach Pitino went to the Final Four in 2012 and then won the national championship in 2013. So Louisville's coach said if they went to the Final Four, he'd cut me down a piece of net. He actually gave up his piece of net so that I could have one. He sent his player, Gargi Jing, up the ladder to cut it down for me, and everybody saw it on CBS television. And then whenever Louisville won the national championship in 2013, Coach P actually sent Gargi Jing up the ladder again to cut me down a piece of net, and then also gave me a national championship ring. So I would have liked to have been able to watch my friends have success in the college basketball tournament, and you know, just being able to, I guess, see being a part of that moment. Like whenever Coach Pitino sent Gargi Jing up the ladder to cut me down those pieces of net, I was, you know, listening to the game with students at Evansville who were watching it, and they were describing it all to me, and they were flabbergasted. I would have really enjoyed, you know, being able to see that. But you know, more importantly than the sports moments, I'd rather see all my family and all my friends at Evansville and Western Illinois throughout my life who've helped me be successful at some point.
Well put, Bryce. Touches all of our hearts to hear you say that. Okay, any other questions?
I do have a quick one.
Yeah, Mark.
Bryce, besides shooting free throws, what other sports have you participated in?
Well, I have kicked the soccer ball around and I've taken shots on goal. And in 2014, when the Rams were still in St. Louis, I got to go down on the field and throw the football around with the Oakland Raiders players and coaches, because my friend John DiFilippo, who's now with the Bears, was the Oakland Raiders quarterback coach at that point in time.
Got a lot of friends in good places, Bryce. All right. I don't see any other hands raised. Well, Bryce, thank you.